Hey guys, welcome to the Geedunk. I'm Josh.
I'm Billy.
And I'm Ashley.
And it's another week in the Big Brother house.
In the cookout house. Yes, it is. Down to the final four.
All right, so it starts off, Derek is talking to Azza.
Mm-hmm.
And old Big D reveals his final twos.
Yeah, he does.
Just be upfront with me.
The two deals that I have made. Me next having the final two. From week 2, when Kai was HOH. I made the deal.
Essentially the boys club.
Yeah, exactly.
So, again, this is another fail on Aja because she's been working with Big D, and I guess she assumed she had a final two with him, but
Didn't solidify it, though.
Right.
Maybe she should have had that conversation.
Right.
Just saying.
They had a conversation.
How can you have a final two with two people, though? You might as well just make a final two with her as well.
Right, yeah.
People do that. You should have a final two with everybody, and then you're good, right?
Yeah.
It's just who trusts you.
Then you're the only person that has a final two with everybody. You should make this final two.
But clearly, like, they're the ones that have been working together. In her mind, I mean, in kind of everybody else's mind, if you didn't listen to his diary rooms, that she just assumed that they had a final two.
Right, exactly.
Well, they were together since day one, so...
Right.
They were all together since day one.
And they're both kind of like in the same club here. People who can't win anything.
They're both jokers. They can't win.
Right.
Aja finally won something, though. You know, she went had a household and a kind of a crappy time, I guess. But
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and
They're both
she essentially
underdogs.
let the boys like run that
right.
one.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Well, then,
she
so
sucks. I mean,
so all right, but let's talk about the conversation between Ozzy and Big D. Like Big D annoyed the hell out of me in that conversation. He's like, I carried Ozzy. I put her in a suitcase. God. I drug her through this. Like, you didn't win a freaking event. Like, how did you carry anybody?
That's a later talk, but that's on the actual next episode. But,
but still, that's all right.
yeah, they all blend together at some point.
Right, but but bottom line is he's getting irritated at her for like saying that, hey, I thought I kind of held my own here. No, I drugged you through this. I carried you through this.
Well,
like, dude, you didn't freaking win anything. You won no events. She's won an event. You hadn't won crap. Then you're going to sit here and say that, oh, I've helped Ozzy through this, and Ozzy's only here because of me. And it's like, dude, get out of here, man.
Take me out of the equation. Do you think that you would have been able to get...
Take anybody out the equation. You wouldn't have been able to get here.
No.
Okay, so if you feel that you dragged me to get here, that's you.
Well, I think it's funny about that is that they both literally believe they deserve to be there. That they have played, they have made moves, they have made decisions, they've carried each other. Like they feel like they've had an actual game plan. And Aja's sitting there saying, like, to assume that I didn't do any gameplay or anything. I'm like, you didn't.
Well, which is odd because both of them have had, like, especially Big D, have had mental breakdowns because they can't win anything. But now he's like, I have been carrying you, and I've been like this master strategist. So, you're like,
well, you're here because of me, Ozzy.
Last week you were crying you couldn't win. The week before that, you're kind of crying because you couldn't win. So
yeah, dude's got. I mean, he like that. Like, typically I've been kind of pro Big D, but that conversation, like, dude, you need to step yourself back a little bit.
Yeah, but this initial conversation, he's just kind of revealing the plan, and he's kind of torn between Azza and Kylan and the boys. And then he talks to Kylan, and he's looking for reassurances from Kylan, like, we're good, right, for, like, the final 3 and the 2, and then Kylan's like, I'm just trying to get to 3, bro.
And right now, I'm just trying to get to 3.
What I'm getting at is to make sure our deal that we made to the end sticks.
I recognize that we're in different positions. I'm more vulnerable.
Yeah.
And he's like, huh.
Yeah, Kylan won't.
And this is where Kylan really screws up big time.
Well,
absolutely,
Kylan,
man.
This is where I see Kylan crack. Like, I've liked Kylan throughout this whole game. I thought he was a genuinely nice guy. I probably still believe that, but...
Everyone has their moments.
He has his moments, but he is very competitive, and he is not a good loser. He is a very sore loser.
Well, he's been doing a lot this season, so I kind of get it.
He has, but he did not... He's feeling threatened, and he's not reacting very well.
Yeah, here's the thing I think he's feeling. He's got Derek coming to him saying, you're going to bail me out, right? And he's probably thinking, dude, I'm in danger. I need to bail myself out right now. And you're I've been carrying you this whole season. Then you come walking in here like, hey, we're good, right? And that's probably getting to him. And then he's probably not thinking things through, because if he solidifies his partnership with Big D, he's safe no matter what happens in the game. And that's the point he's missing in all this. He's so worried about winning a competition when it's like, if your social game is so good, you don't have to win the competition.
Exactly. Yeah. And when that's it too, I think he was just so hell-bent on just like, you know what, I'm going to win this anyway. I don't need you, Big D. You know, like, I don't need this guy. Like, you know, I mean, I don't need him to help me stay in this house right now. And I think that's kind of the thought he had in his mind.
His ego totally got in the way of his game.
Definitely his ego just clouded him.
Oh, yeah.
And when it came to the competitions, too, this week, that didn't help him.
But he should have just played out the scenarios. If I win veto, I'm good. If Derek wins veto, I'm good because of this. There's no scenario here where we aren't in control, really.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
but he didn't think that one through. He's just like so concentrated on winning the veto.
But the person who was strategizing, because he talked to Kylan, and then he went and talked to Xavier, telling Xavier, man, I just don't know what to do. You know, I love them both so much, and Kylan's my showman, and like, but Oz is my like best friend, and I love her, and you know, and it's like, dude, you're talking about $750,000 here, man. You know, you've been kicking people out left and right through the whole show. You
Money's
know,
not everything.
Right. And this
it's funny when they say that.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because this is actually his first time to actually be able to do anything, right?
Right.
You know, and so it's like, man up, dude. It's like, man up, quit being a little crybaby and freaking just make a decision, you know? And of course, and that's what Xavier's thinking, like, dude, just freaking man up.
If Derek leaves that room with Kylan, he's like, the deal's kind of dead at this point, is how
he even says that. He says that to him. He's like, all right, until we have another further discussion.
And then Kylan's kind of like, I think I should leave the room before, kind of like I say something I'm going to regret.
He'd already said it.
He really already had
it. The was done, but he should have probably walked away and then came back and be like, hey, man,
yeah, I'm sorry, man. I just, wasn't feeling great, but yeah,
I'm under a lot of pressure right now, whatever.
But we're good. You and I are good. Yeah, exactly. He should have done something because it's like, dude, like this dude has your freaking life in this house in his hands, and you're gonna tell him, man, yeah, but I don't know, man, I'm not really feeling it.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it was very bizarre as I was watching. I was like, what is he doing? Like, why is he? And then you hear,
now is not the time to do that at the end.
Right.
And now, I mean, it makes no sense to me.
Well, I'm just gonna say that our final 2 deal is dead. We can revisit it after we see what happens.
I think I would do better if I leave this conversation.
Well, I guess his ego. He maybe thought he could just win the.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he thought that.
Yeah. There's more to Kylan than we know, because now we find out this sniff fetish.
Oh, dude,
my God, that was so disgusting.
He's like sniffing everything. I don't know.
Xavier's like, I gotta get this sniff bandit out of this house.
I'm telling you, I had a little bit of a crush on Kylan this whole season. I was like, he's adorable, he's cute, he's got the smile, you know, he's just cute.
But he's got that teardrop thing going on.
Yeah, so. but then sniffing the burritos and then putting them back in the bag,
that's horrible,
and I'm like,
well, then it showed him like sniffing people's shoes and stuff and all this stuff. I was like, what is this dude doing, man? Yeah. and it ain't just like a quick, okay, this is good. He was like rubbing it on his face.
I'm waiting to like look for someone like get up from the couch and him go smell where they were sitting or something.
Yeah, I mean, he practically put the burrito on his tortilla on his head.
Right, he was like sniffing pillows and stuff too, like going to the different rooms. I was like, what the hell is this guy doing, man?
Woo, that was weird.
Like, why didn't they like? Had we known earlier on in the season that was going on, I'm like, why didn't people kick him out sooner? Yeah. Why didn't they get rid of this dude sooner? You know,
that is like, very weird.
Especially when he's like sniffing up on all their food. You know, and Xavier finally mentioned that he's like, man, this dude been making me food, and now,
right?
You know, and I see him sniffing.
Man.
He's sniffing my drawers.
Right. And I didn't even wash them yet.
What's funny is like I said, this particular episode, like 1 or 2 episodes, my opinion and view on Kylan just completely changed. Like, he was this one person, and now I'm like, who are you?
He's gone up a couple notches in my book.
If I catch you sniffing anything, I mean, stay out of the kitchen.
But they have the BB Winning Days veto competition. What did you guys think of that?
You're talking about the one with the seesaw.
Yeah, the seesaw where you got to put the numbers in there.
You got to guess what number day and event happened, and then you have the like these little bouncy balls, like kickballs, something like that,
Yeah,
different
pretty much.
sizes, and you have to put them at one end of the seesaw, and then balance it back. So some of them, the bigger balls are like 10, and then there's 5s and 1s, and they have to add it up without the balls bouncing out. Which when you walk back on the seesaw, if you do it too quickly, the balls will bounce out.
Yeah, and this seems like a hard competition. And Billy, you probably want, how do they know this? Because like they do this all the time, so these guys are taking meticulous notes and stuff like that. So that's how they know.
Remember
what days
several
things
episodes
happen.
back when Hannah and Alyssa were like going over it together. They're like, "Hey, listen." So when this happened, I was like, "Okay, I can understand how they're getting it right," because I remember that scene where Hannah and Alyssa were like sitting down together with exactly with like basically with like flip cards, like what day was this? 37.
I don't think they get to write it down though.
Oh, really?
I mean, no, I don't think they get to write anything. I could be wrong.
I thought I saw Christian like writing some notes.
I could be wrong, but so here I'm looking at this competition. I'm thinking, oh, Big D's not going to do very well.
Right.
We're talking like a seesaw with like a balance beam size width that he's got to walk from one end to the other. Yeah, he didn't do too bad.
You would think maybe Ozzy would kill something like this, being kind of light.
Ozzy didn't do too good.
Females are pretty good at balancing.
Well,
generally,
Ozzy started out okay, and then she just kind of went to crap. And Big D did I was very surprised how well good Big D was doing. I was like, holy crap, man! Dude, I mean, he almost won. I mean, he was right on the verge.
And
of
the
winning
big
that one.
surprise kind of is Kylan's the first one out.
And I think this was his ego. I think he was nervous. He knew his game was on the line. He had already screwed up conversations. The pressure got to him, I think. Because I think he could have pulled that out.
He was struggling with keeping the balls in the little scoop thing.
Oh, yeah, he was, big time.
But I think that's because he was rushing and he was nervous.
He looked kind of like, it didn't look like it was taking much for those balls to come out on his for some reason.
No, it didn't. I was thinking the same thing. I was watching how easily they're rolling out of his and everybody else wasn't. And I was like, man, they just sabotaged
Kylan. A raw deal here.
Yeah, I think they sabotaged Kylan on that. I was thinking the same thing.
But again, you see that sore loser coming out in him every time a ball comes out. He's like, oh, I mean,
well, I know afterwards he gets upset.
Oh yeah.
It's funny too because like afterwards he's like really upset, and I think someone walks in. He's like, oh hey, how's it going?
So after that, Xavier wins.
It's between Xavier and Big D, and you think maybe Big D's gonna pull this one out, but Big D does what Big D does.
Right. But it came down. I mean, they were both like neck and neck there. I was like, man, is Big D gonna take this? And then, nah.
Oh, hello, Golden Power Veto. Have you met HOH yet? Because I think the both of you are gonna make this a very fun week for me.
So Xavier wins, and Kylan, he's got the gentleman, he's feeling pretty good. But not really good because he wants the reassurance.
He's pouting, and that's when X comes in, and he's like, "Oh, hey, X," and then X like, "No conversations about game right now or whatever." So
I just want a night to chill. I ain't talking veto tonight. I told everybody else the same thing.
No veto conversation.
And this is a sneak preview into Kylan's. I want to talk about this. We're going to talk about this.
Yeah, he kind of ignores that. He's like, but we're good, right? Because we got this thing going on, and I saved you, right?
Yeah, so. Well, and that's the thing, Kylan did. He saved Xavier last week, so it's like, okay, so he's expecting, I scratch, your bag, you scratch mine here.
Well, this is where we see, like, the backfire effect, because it's like Kylan, for some reason, wants to bring one of the biggest competitors there, where X is like, I want kind of the opposite. Like, why would I bring one of the best competitors to the end?
Right, if I can get rid of him right now, exactly.
Well, and they mentioned the Batman versus Superman kind of scenario, and, they're the two top competitors. They're the two to beat. Yep. And again, it's Kylan's ego, because Kylan wants to go against Xavier because he wants to go against the best and say, I beat the best.
Right,
well, and
I'm not afraid of that challenge.
Exactly. And he says this, I don't know how true it is, but he's saying like, hey, this is like the first black person to win, so I want that to be kind of special as well. And I want them to earn it. I don't just want them to be like, savage the way they win or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and I think X has done enough strategizing where he's kind of tricked Kylan into believing that he's down with that too, right? X like, let's do it, man.
I just like X's demeanor. He's very cool under pressure and stuff like that. Even when he's like upset, he's pretty like calm the way he delivers.
He keeps it together. Yeah. Absolutely.
Kylan not so
Where
much.
we see Kylan cracking.
Even when people are pushing his buttons on purpose, like we see, we'll talk about here in a minute, he's still kind of cool and calm about it.
Yeah.
Yep. So Big D and Kylan talk again, and Kylan's he's trying to secure like Big D because he sees what's going on. He can't do anything else. So
he has the conversation he should have
had the first time. Yep, exactly.
It's a little late now.
Oh yeah.
And then Big D goes and talks with X and Ozza, and he's like, "Oh, I just don't know what to do." And they're like, "I'll tell you what you should do."
Yeah. I was like, "Fine, then put me up on there, and I'll get Kylan out of here quick." She's like, "I don't have any freaking qualms about getting rid of that dude."
Yeah.
She's like, "I want to get rid of him long ago, actually."
So now Big D makes it seem like he's almost willing to keep Kylan, and then Ozza's not. So X is now considering removing Ozza from the block.
So Ozza can be the one.
And this is the whole man up scenario, right? Like, dude, what are you freaking flip flopping for? You just need to man up and freaking pick him.
And you're like, okay, well now things are starting to not go Kylan's way. But then that's when Big D has that conversation with Ozza, and then you're like, oh, maybe Kylan has a chance because now Ozza and Big D are falling out.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Oof.
So let me use other words. I definitely backpacked Ozza this season. I definitely suitcase Ozza this season. Grocery bagged Ozza this season. So those are words that I would use other than the word carry.
And it was like awkward, like it was totally unnecessary too. Like these two people haven't done anything arguing over how they carried each other essentially.
Right. Well, and then of course Big D's running to Kylan and Xavier complaining about Ozza. Like she getting on my last nerve. And it's like
it's the strangest scenario. How
he kind of did that with Tiffany, had the little the tiff, and then now he's doing it with Ozza. So
exactly.
Yeah.
He's like drama, man, and it's like he creates it himself too because
it is completely unnecessary.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, dude, you've done nothing in this game. You didn't carry Ozza.
I don't think
like,
I think he truly believes.
He believes he did. You can tell he believes it. He's in that diary.
All because he had one conversation and said, "Don't put Ozza up, put me up." That one thing he did. Now he's like, "I carried you. I backpacked you and I put you in a suitcase." And it's like, wow, geez.
I mean, if I was in either one of those shoes, right, like in the diary room, you hear me saying, "Yeah, I did kind of skate my way through this. How am I going to how am I going to argue to like, I'm like, hey, I stayed under the radar."
It's like the new Willy Wonka movie, right? Where Johnny Depp looks at the kid and he's like, "You're just lucky to be here, aren't you?"
Well, that's where Ozza and Big D probably go, "Look, we haven't done much. We got to get rid of X. Me and you need to kind of like team up, even though I know that's not how the final three works, but they're like, we need to get rid of Kylan and then we need to like tag team X, whatever way we can."
Right, exactly.
Yeah. But I mean,
right now,
how are they going to tag team X? Like, which one of them is going to be?
Well, it's a better strategy to go like we can just win because
what's
going to
be super disappointing is if Aja wins the next HOH. That's going to just be. If it ends up as Aja and Big D, I would love it.
I'd love it this season.
Especially after what happens here. I mean, yeah, absolutely, I'm down with that because I mean, really, that's the only way. That's the only way she stands a chance, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, because if she's standing up next to Kylan, she's not going to win. I mean, Kylan, good lord, she's standing next to Xavier or Kylan, either one for that matter. She's not going to win. But sitting next to Big D, so look, I won 2 HOHs. Big D just sits on it, sleeps all day. So, that's a pretty easy decision right there, I think.
So let's talk about the exit.
Well, we're not there yet. I
think we are.
But, next thing we see is the jury house where Tiffany and
all right, we're there. Fine. We'll talk about that first.
They go to the jury house. What do you guys think of those?
Well, it's funny because, like, the jury was not expecting to see Tiffany, right? They're like, we'll probably see maybe Hannah or Ozza or somebody. And then Tiffany walks in there like, holy cow, like, what are you doing here? So they were super surprised to see her come in.
Now, what do you think about everyone gushing over Tiffany's strategy? And they're like, oh, you're so brilliant. You guys are amazing what you're doing. It's super special.
Again, you see Sarah Beth going,
yeah.
I think she was a little bit more uppity this time, but I'm just kind of like, you guys, you're congratulating them, but you're essentially saying you guys are clueless and fools at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and Derek X is flat out. He's like, man, dude, what a strategy. Holy cow. He's like, you came up with that all yourself? Yeah. He's like, well, if you're still in and I knew that, I'd be voting for you because, that's probably one of the best strategies I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed no one is kind of like upset with themselves that they didn't like.
They fell for it.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah, maybe they're not expressing it, but I just don't like everyone gushing over them. Like, well, that's why you guys got so fooled, you idiots.
Well, except for Sarah Beth. Because, like, even Claire's like, oh, my God, I'm so glad she was my number one because she's so smart. She was great. I'm like, yeah, but that's kind of what got you out. Like,
she's a little bitter over Kylan, too.
But Sarah Beth is. Yeah, Claire was like all over Tiffany, like, oh, this doesn't make me mad and everything like that. But I
think she's glad to see Tiffany kind of followed up from her. So she's kind of like, oh, well, okay.
But for Sarah Beth, she's like, no.
He lied to me.
I thought Kylan and I had a close friendship, a relationship that you know.
So I'll put
I'm just a duo.
I'll put it this way. Sarah Beth's the only one being real.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She's the only one being real. You know the rest of them are thinking it, but they ain't going to say it on camera because of, you know, the whole situation. Sarah Beth's the only one really being real about it. Be like, no, I felt used. You know, the guy used me. He manipulated me. You
and
know?
here's the thing with that, because on the exit, well, I guess we'll get to that later, but that kind of comes back as well.
Oh my God, we got to talk about the exit.
Right. So they show them, they break down the cookout. They're kind of already aware, so there's really not. I think Tiffany comes in like, I got to break down the big plans, and well, they already know. So
yeah.
I mean, Tiffany feels like the winner of the jury. I think at this point they're fawning all over her.
Right,
She's
exactly.
like,
Yeah, I guess.
I was the mastermind.
Right,
This
it was
is
all
next.
me. They're fawning over Tiffany, and then who rolls in next? Oh, Hannah comes in, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, Hannah!" Oh, you know, then they're kind of fawning over her, giving her the hugs and all that good stuff, you know. And then it's like, yeah, whatever, dude. All right, enough of the jury room. Let's get back to the action.
yeah, and then X decides not to use the veto, which is kind of almost surprising at this point, because the way the Big D and Ozza conversation is going,
Right,
you would
you're
think like, I
expecting
gotta now
Yeah.
go with Ozza because now there's this riff.
And I thought when that conversation was happening, and he said he might save Aja so that she could make the decision, not knowing that Big D would be able to come through with that. I thought that would be a poor decision on his part, because that solidifies that was his plan. And by making Big D be the one with the blood on his hands to make that decision, he could have claimed innocence. However, that's not how it played out.
No, he couldn't, because Kylan flat out said, "Hey, bro, I pulled you off the block last week. I was expecting the same this week."
Right.
So there was no getting blood off your hands on this one. Like
That's true.
Like
He could've just pulled him
Kylan's
off.
not an idiot. Kylan knows dang well at this point is, you know, X is targeting him, trying to get rid of him.
I mean, if
You
they
know,
were
so-
true to the three, he could have pulled Kylan off, put Big D up there, and then
then get
Kylan
both
could have
Aja
sent
out.
Aja
Yep,
out.
exactly.
But, and then Kylan, that's what Kylan expected to happen.
That's
That's
exactly what
the
he
perfect
expected,
world.
yeah.
That was the deal. That's how it was supposed to
Yeah, and
play
I
out.
really think there was a much stronger conversation that we didn't see,
With Big
because
D
like
and
it
Xavier,
doesn't almost
right.
make sense why he would go with Big D at this point unless Big D said, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And also like Ozza's like last plea was very strong with Big D. And
Right.
People come in this house looking for many things: fame, fortune, and money. But one thing I'm so happy to have found is a true best friend. Whatever your decision, I love you.
I mean, it was solid and makes it seem like there's no rift there.
Yeah.
So they
Right.
probably made up.
Yeah.
And then there was another conversation with Xavier.
Well, and
I
again,
imagine.
and then Kylan's last plea, kind of just his ego was there again.
Yep.
And he, you know, he kind of just said, "Hey, I'm glad I was here, everybody. Hey, guys, it was cool." But no, like, hey, you know, no kissing butt, you know, like everybody else
Let's take
does.
the
Trying
best to the end.
Right, exactly.
I'm the best. Take me.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I feel like that those speeches can be tough though. So,
They can.
I mean,
Well, Ozza did very well on hers, though.
yeah, I mean, hers was pretty heartfelt and
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
so-
exactly.
So then what happens? Big D stands up and he casts
His vote.
to evict, and he chooses Kylan.
Kylan, yeah, exactly.
And then it doesn't go well from there.
No,
This
this was the
This
most
is where the real drama
This is
begins.
where the
This
force
is
sport
the-
really kicks in, yeah.
cringiest moment I've
I
ever.
loved it. This
I
is
mean,
like the
I
best
loved it. I
moment
loved
of
it too,
the
man.
season so
Dude,
far.
I was like, make it stop. Someone make it stop.
Dude,
Like,
I mean, I thought the whole, Kobe thing, raising him to be a man and face challengers and stuff.
Are you talking about my nephew right now?
I'm asking about if, named after Kobe, Kobe doesn't step down from a challenge.
I highly suggest you stop talking about my nephew. Keep talking about my nephew, guys.
If your nephew has nobody to look up to, that is going to figure out
Honestly,
how to raise him.
Kylan.
Julie's waiting on you. Julie's waiting on you.
Kylan's up in Xavier's face just trying to push his buttons. Hey,
I'm actually kind of
hey.
surprised, like, Big Brother didn't get on the thing and be like, you gotta leave, but they let it play out a little bit,
Right.
which
They
is
did
probably
let it
wise
play out a
because
little.
I was enjoying it.
Right, exactly.
it was cringy to me. I mean, I've seen some drama unfold in the Big Brother house, and there are some moments that have been really cringy, but like this was just like, I'm like, someone stop this.
Right, oh, yeah.
Like I can't.
Well,
keep
because
watching
Kylan
this
goes from
train
the
wreck.
super, like, nice guy, and then all of a sudden he's
Big time poor
just
loser.
like
Well, he's
almost
got the big
refusing to
smile on his face
lose.
the whole
Right.
time.
Yeah, and he was pissed because he's asking X, why, man, why?
Yeah.
X is like, well, you'll find out. He's like, no, I don't.
Yeah,
find
well,
out.
I
Tell
thought
me
that
why.
was kind of cheap, the way he said that.
You'll find out.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and then when Big D's like, yeah, you're a strong
'Cause he gets
competitor.
Big D.
Yeah,
Right.
and
Oh,
he
yeah,
goes,
yeah,
no,
he gets
I
it.
understand you.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Big D's kind of like, you're a threat, and like, I
He doesn't even care
He's
that
like,
Big D
I
did
understand that.
Yeah.
But he's like, but you.
Yeah, and he's like, dude, I took you off the block last week. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I remember that. You did. Yeah. He's like,
Thank you, by the way.
yeah, right, appreciate that. Thanks. Now get the hell out of the house.
Exactly. So then he starts saying, what about, the gentleman, the agreement we had, your word, your honor, and then he mentions his nephew.
Nephew, oh yeah.
And then
His
he's
name's
like,
Kobe.
are you talking about my nephew right now? And then like
He's like, yeah, you say
he like his posture firms up and he steps a little bit closer. He's like, I don't think you should start. Yeah, I don't think you should mention my nephew. And then
I was waiting for Kylan to go, I'm not talking about your nephew. I'm talking about you.
Right.
But Kylan just keeps going, and then
because Kylan's like, hey man, what happened to setting the example for your nephew? You know, showing him to fight for what you believe.
And he just keeps pushing that button, and then X just keeps getting taller and closer, but very calm. And then after this goes on for what I think is way too long.
But that's not intimidating Kylan.
Oh no, Kylan didn't care, man.
Kylan did not back down.
No.
And then
I want answers. I want the truth.
Right. You can't handle the truth. You'll find out, bro. You'll find out.
Then you hear Julie come on. And she's like, Kylan, I need you to leave. I need you to leave, like, right now.
And then Oz and Big D finally kind of step in and are like, all right, you know.
And then he, like, goes back for his cup. I wasn't sure initially what he's grabbing. He's like, I'm taking this with me. I'm taking this with me.
This was mine, right? Yeah, it's yours.
Yeah, Julie had to keep telling him, like, get
Kylan,
out,
I need you to
get
leave
out.
now.
Yeah. So then he comes out. What's awkward for me is during this conversation, there's all, the talk of like, what do you think happened here? Or you're obviously upset, blah, blah, blah. But then when they watch the goodbye messages, and then you see the goodbye message from Xavier, it's like, you've been a real good, you're like a brother to me, and like, we'll always be friends after this. And I'm like, this is like 20 seconds after. You almost just threw down in the house.
Right. Hope you respect this decision from a game perspective. I truly do think you are one of the best players who played this season. Love you like a brother. We'll always be friends long after this game.
Awkward.
Take it all back.
It's like, ugh.
Well, but then you do see like, when after Julie talks to freaking Kylan for a minute, it's like, okay, let's go peek in on the remaining house guests. And then X does say a couple nice things about Kylan, right? And they're like, all right, toast to Kylan, hey, bro, good game played or whatever, So it was almost like he just let it roll right up his back. Yeah. So
like Big D makes a comment like I got you or something like that, like out of the house or whatever he says, but I don't know. I was enjoying it.
I
tell you, went up a couple notches for me because I'm like, don't go out all nice. Come on now, you worked too hard for this.
Yeah, especially after saving X last week. I mean, pulling him off the block, it's like, he screwed you, man.
I am super excited to see Kylan go into the jury. That's one I want to see. Kylan go into the jury house and explain with his ego intact, like,
and then have
how this happened.
And then having to confront Sarah Beth too.
Oh,
now I will say I like the way X carried himself, but I love the drama with Kylan.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, and at the end of the day, though, that kind of brought. I mean, because Kylan was right. Kylan's like, look, dude, you and I made an agreement. I pulled you off the block, man. I pulled you off that block. I didn't have to do that. And, and you're telling me you're going to do the same to me, and then you just screwed me.
And that's why I do feel a little bit for Kylan. Obviously, he went over the line and stuff like that, but he did.
He had every right to be mad.
It's kind of unusual that he was trying to save Xavier, but he was, and he was genuine about it.
He was absolutely genuine about it. He was like, hey, we got a gentleman agreement. You and I are going to the end. We're going to duke this out at the end, and hey, it's going to be me and you.
Now, here's where I have an issue with him, though, because he starts ragging on X a little bit about man of the words and stuff like that, and like, I only lie when I have to, but then Sarah Beth, going back to that conversation, said, I don't like the way he lied to me when he didn't have to.
And
so
he manipulated
there's
me.
a little conflict there with what one's saying and one's doing.
Right. He did
all these
have
guys
to lie to her.
All these guys
he did have to lie to her.
He did have to lie, and I didn't like when she made that comment. I didn't like that he lied to me when he didn't have to. For that plan to work out, he did.
Had to lie, exactly.
So
Sarah Beth seems a little bitter too. They're like peas in a pod when it comes to
that. Maybe that's why they get along so well. I don't know.
Oh man, yeah.
But this is probably like the most exciting episode of them all.
Oh yeah, dude. Especially the very end. The very end just. It was like icing on the cake right there.
It was hard for me to watch, and I like train wrecks.
I loved it, man.
I like watching the drama, but like
seeing Kylan just man up, man, get up in Xavier's face, like, dude, no, man.
Yeah, and then X is getting big. He's like, get away from me with that.
That was awesome.
And then Aja's face the whole time is like,
what's going on here?
What is happening? How does this
I
stop?
think everyone expects him to go out like a gentleman and hug it out and be like, it's fine, guys, it's the game. But,
but
he wasn't doing that.
He wasn't having it.
The other thing with his ego was the comment he made to Julie. He's like, I'm hoping I can come back. Like, bring me back.
I would love to come back.
I did good, right? You want to bring me back for another season?
Yeah. I'm an all-star. You bring me back for a repeat season. Yeah, because he wants to win this thing.
Big question now. Who do you want to be the final two?
Or not Kylan. Xavier.
No, who do you want to be the final two, though?
Xavier and Big D. Aja
and Big D. I need more drama. I don't want to see it play out where X just wipes the floor with everybody.
After this week, after what X did to Kylan, because Kylan's right, man, he was wrong. He wronged him bad.
Yeah.
I want Aja and Big D at this point, you know?
Well, if you really want the drama, then you should have Xavier and Big D and have Big D beat Xavier.
That
would be drama.
That's not drama.
Yeah.
Look, there's no jury conversation to be had when you put Aja and Big D up there. Like, they're like,
I love it. I want to see the conversation. I want to see them go, what clown am I going to vote for?
I carried her through this game. You see,
I want to see that
I had her in my suitcase. Yo.
Xavier just be like, I don't even need to say anything. We know who deserves to win.
You know who's really excited right now? Frenchie.
Oh, because Big D was his boy.
Big D and Aja. They're jokers.
Yeah, they're jokers.
Like,
and
he was, it looked like at the beginning, if it wasn't for
Frenchie
the
probably
cookout,
ain't even watching the show.
If it wasn't for the cookout, these people would have been gone. Mm-hmm. The jokers were like targeted, and the only reason why they got to stay, I mean, because once they got Frenchie out, Brittany was the next target.
Yeah.
So
I'm just so shocked Kylan like messed up that Big D thing. Even Julie tries to like say like, do you regret that? Because it's very obvious like he screwed up there, and he's like, not really, no.
Yeah.
No. He's gonna watch it back.
He did screw up there. That's what got you kicked out, not you losing the veto. That
on the flip side, I mean, he totally could have talked Big D into keeping him. I think had he told Big D, my final two, but at the same time, Big D keeps being so open and honest with Aza and the X that X would have just pulled him. Like, all right, dude, I can't trust this dude. I'm gonna pull him. So either way, he
needed to coach him. Like, now don't tell X because like
exactly tell X that you're gonna send me out. Tell X that yep, I got it.
Because we're final too. So
at that
like,
point,
we'll get X out next week.
Kylan trusted X, so he didn't feel the need to.
Yeah, no, exactly.
They were the gentlemen.
I mean, here's the thing: Big D, like from the get-go, planned it seemed like to get rid of Aza's, and that changed with his conversation with Kylan. And he even says so, like, you didn't give me the reassurance.
Right, you didn't give me what I needed.
When I looked for it, you let me down.
Right. Yeah, he said in the diary room little goodbye message. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, all right. Well, we are down to the final three, and I'm looking forward to the finale. Like I said, I really hope it's Aja and Big D. I want to see X gone now at this point. Even though I've been rooting for him, probably like the past 5 or 6 weeks at least been rooting for him. You know what? After Tiffany left and some others left, but now
and X is definitely deserving. But
yeah.
I need something different to happen.
You just want the drama.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to see it play out. Like, that's just boring.
Right. And quite honestly, Big D, X, X is a lawyer. He probably makes good money. Big D is freaking, Joe Frazier's son. He grew up freaking a rich kid. So Aja, on the other hand, though, grew up in a huge family.
But she's kind of local to the area.
She's like a family
she's
of
from Maryland.
Or something.
She's from Maryland. Yeah, she's a local chick. So I kind of like to see Aja win. I like to see Aja take it. No. Well, I think it's big. I think if she wins head of household and then they get freaking Xavier out and it's her and Big D, look, I want you head of household.
Who's going to be America's favorite? Who do you think gets that, or who do you want?
Oh, that one's tricky. Yeah. It could be.
I voted for Derek X.
That's what I was going to say. It could be Derek X. Yeah. It could be Tiffany, or it could be Xavier or Kylan. Those are the ones I think are the options.
Yeah, I voted for Derek X. I think he's totally deserves it. So I was like, that dude did had played a very good game. He was a good guy all around, and
he's one I could see them bringing back for an All Stars because. Absolutely. I think any of the people not part of the cookout they could possibly bring back because they didn't really.
Yeah, with Kylan throwing his little hissy fit at the end there, it's like, why would they want to bring him back? For more drama.
Because he got my vote this week, so yeah.
That's true,
you don't know about Bailey. I'm pretty sure think they brought her back. She played 2 seasons. Yeah,
he would be good for drama, for sure.
Well, he's been keeping it together until this week. So I mean, I don't know
he let stress get to him.
He does let stress get to him. Mm-hmm. I hope he has a very stress-free life outside of that.
Maybe he does, and that's why the stress bothered him so much. He's used to that kind of stress, right? So maybe.
Then again, they're locked in this house with these people. I mean, they say that makes you go crazy. So
it made him sniff everybody's drawers. All right, everybody. Well, that's another episode of Big Brother Down. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit like and subscribe, and we'll check you next week.
See you guys.
See you later. Sprite for me. Is it always this bright?
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Big Brother!
No. Coke Zero.
She needs her drink holder.
A drink holder. A headache, I think.
All right, guys. It's week 12 in the Big Brother house.
Really?
I don't think I've finished saying Big Brother yet.
Like, am I even here?
Is it week 12? Do a little Dunkin' water.
Ow, that was my toe. You literally ran over my toe.
Well, it shouldn't be near the tire.
The tire? It's a chair. They don't have tires.
I was having flashbacks to another incident, I guess.
Right.
He's referring to the time he ran me over with the minivan.
Yeah.
That's totally true.
But she's still alive, so it didn't work out for him.
Yeah, tire didn't take you out, the wheel ain't gonna take you out of a chair.
Oh no, he's shedding hair everywhere. I'm never getting that back. Oh my god, there's a That's gone forever. Okay.
Yeah, I know how you feel.
This guy's got like a full head of hair over here. Oh, jeez. Got some gray.
Hanging out with a bunch of old people over here.
You got grays coming in, okay? He is the youngest one, though.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, boy. We're in, like, order here.
Hey, guys. Welcome to the
I was
Geek
looking. Yeah, all right.
There are tears in my eyes. Okay.
We're having fun, people. We're having fun.
Are we?
Yeah.
Hey, guys. Welcome, kid.
I thought you were ready.
He's ready.